See how our leaders become misleaders, and see how our mentors become tormentors. Freedom fighters became dictators. They're killing our people in Karamoja. We are fighting for freedom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story, which also represents the story of very many Ugandans that have endured human rights violations for the last 36 years. I never intended to get into politics, and neither did I pay much attention to the political space until my personal consciousness was awakened rudely by my personal humiliation at the hands of a security operative. I'm a musician, and in 2005, I was the hottest artist in town, singing about parties and girls and money. And so, like any other 23-year-old who is successful, I went out and bought a big fancy car, a Cadillac Escalade with spinning wheels and a personalized number plate, Ghetto. One day, I was at a nightclub in Kampala when a security operative pulled me out of my brand new car, slapped me in the face, and put a gun on my head. And he asked me, "Yo, why are you showing off? Don't you know that this country has owners?" I drove away humiliated, and this horrible feeling was all over me, a feeling of you deserved it. Because he was right, I thought I was safe as a celebrity, partying with the rich and powerful military generals, whining and dining with them. But I did not know that it didn't change the reality that I was just a boy from the ghetto, and that I would not be free from their oppressive rule until everyone in Uganda was free. That incident reminded me of the humiliation that many Ugandans faced every day. I couldn't forgive myself for having allowed my temporary and deceptive comfort and elevation from society to blind me from the plight of my fellow disadvantaged people. And I decided on that day that moving forward, I would be a voice of social justice. For 36 years, Uganda has been under the rule of General Yoweri Museveni. More than 85% of Ugandans have never seen another president in their lifetime. Not because the law allows it, no, but because he has always changed the constitution with the help of a compromised parliament, and he has always rigged elections with the help of a personalized military. But regardless of all this, the Western world continues to tolerate and enable General Museveni because he is considered a useful dictator, good for regional security and national stability, even if he bends a few rules. But that's not true. General Museveni rules Uganda with an iron hand. He deploys the military against the citizens and students. Those who oppose him are either put in prison, tortured, or killed. His administration ranks one of the most corrupt in the world. His family members and henchmen have plundered our nation at the expense of healthcare, education, and other social services. So, sitting there in my fancy car, beaten and humiliated, I knew I could not stay silent anymore. So, for the next 10 years, I dedicated my music to the plight of the common Ugandans and the fight for human rights. In 2016, General Museveni rigged the election and declared himself president again. And that's when I decided that if the parliament could not come to the ghetto would go to the parliament. In 2017, thank you. In 2017, I decided to run for a parliamentary seat. Our constituency campaign turned into a national campaign, and we won the seat with 80%. Then we started the People Power movement to awaken a generation of young Ugandans talking to them about democracy, and explaining to them why they must get involved. This annoyed General Museveni, and from then we were branded as enemies. In 2018, while on a campaign trail in the northern Ugandan district of Arua, General Museveni decided that it was too much for him to take. He alleged that our supporters had stoned his motorcade, and for that reason, the military was given orders to shoot and kill. I had just stepped out of my car when suddenly I heard gunshots, blah, blah, blah. My driver and friend, Yasin Kauma, was shot dead in the car seat that I had been occupying just a few minutes earlier. I took a picture of him and tweeted it, him lying in a pool of blood. I tweeted it with the caption, "Police has shot my driver dead, thinking they've shot at me." And then the Special Forces Command, a section of the military that is led by General Museveni's son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, started hunting for me. For the next 8 hours, I hid in a random hotel room as they broke down every single door looking for me. Meanwhile, my tweet went viral, and suddenly the entire world was watching Museveni. So when they finally found me, they did not kill me, but they tortured me to near death. I was detained in a military base for several days. Not even my family knew where I was. I later learned that people protested in very many parts of the world calling for my release. And for this, I am forever grateful, because if it was not for that pressure, I'm sure I would not be alive to talk to you today. In a military court, I was charged with the offense of annoying the president, treason, and illegal possession of firearms. They displayed 2 machine guns to prove that. And of course, these were trumped-up charges. Out of shame, the firearms charges were later dropped and the guns disappeared. 2.5 years later, that case has not been heard. So, in 2019, I announced that I was running for president. Now, under General Museveni's Uganda, that means 3 things. It either means prison, or being forced into exile, or death. But we were ready for all that. And yes, that's exactly what happened. We endured the most horrifying campaign, the most violent campaign, the most brutal and murderous campaign you can ever imagine. In November 2020, I was arrested for allegedly violating COVID-19 regulations, a convenient excuse for Museveni to suppress his political opponents. Our supporters protested against my illegal detention, and the military went on rampage. They shot and killed hundreds of people. But of course, General Museveni came out and said that they killed only 54 protesters. Thousands were arrested, and instead of the accountability for the massacre, General Museveni came out and praised the military for a job well done. A few days later, my bodyguard and friend, Frank Senteza, was deliberately run over and killed by a military police car. Thousands of our supporters were then abducted by security operatives in unmarked vehicles called drones in Uganda. And as I speak to you right now, many are still missing, while others are still in illegal detention, simply for supporting me and our party. Those who were lucky to return, they came back with severe torture marks and horrifying stories. Stories of eyes and fingernails plucked out. Stories of men being castrated and women being raped in detention. But we never gave up, and we will never give up. It wasn't me challenging General Museveni. No, it was an entire generation. And for the first time, there were no tribal lines, there were no religious lines, there were no class lines. The entire population was speaking with one big voice, all our people were saying people power is our power. It was the biggest public phenomenon that I had ever seen. Now, I had been a celebrity. I had done hit songs. I knew what it meant to be famous and having people chant your name wherever you go. But this was different. On election day, after casting my ballot, I went home only to find my house surrounded with hundreds of soldiers. And later I learned that the same was happening to all our party offices across the country. The internet was switched off. Mainstream media was placed under strict censorship. Any radio station that dared to report on the election was immediately shut down. Radio presenters and journalists were arrested. And so in this complete blackout, General Museveni declared himself winner of the election again. International authorities challenged the results as fraudulent, not free, and not fair. But I remained under house arrest for the next 11 days. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not an exaggeration to say that my life is in danger because I live in Uganda, and after here, I am going back to Uganda. I have lost friends and colleagues at the hands of security forces. I have been arrested and charged very, very many times, and my only crime has been challenging General Museveni's dictatorship. I'm therefore here to tell the world with clarity that General Museveni is not the leader you think he is. He is a threat to the people of Uganda, and yes, he's a threat to the entire region. The international community has already recognized that the 2021 election in Uganda was neither free nor fair. And it's important that these words are followed with firm actions. First, we call upon the world leaders to stop shaking General Museveni's blood-stained hands through funding and cooperation. Secondly, we call upon the government and organizations all over the world to impose sanctions on him and the people that he uses to torture and kill innocent citizens. Thirdly, we call upon all those who value democracy and human rights and the rule of law to isolate General Museveni because he has distinguished himself as an excellent violator of human rights who has no respect whatsoever for human life and human dignity. And fourth, we ask you to support our demands for accountability for the crimes against humanity that he has committed and continues to commit against the people of Uganda. Now, for far too long, the Western world has believed that allowing dictators to hold their nations hostage is an unacceptable cost for perceived security. Leaders who tolerate dictators and treat them as legitimate partners are complicit in their crimes. Please do not be partners in crime. Do not sacrifice your moral obligation. Do not sacrifice your moral obligation for short-time convenience. Please stand on the right side of history. I thank you.
Even more surprised than I was earlier today that you're all in your seats. But I'm so glad you came back for an absolutely terrific performance. But wasn't that dramatic? And maybe you're going to enjoy it more because you've had a glass of wine. Or maybe two. Or maybe three. I would now like to introduce you the leader of the National Unity Platform and People Power Movement in Uganda. And he is a singer, Bobi Wine. It is so great to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you
glad
for
that,
having me.
we managed to get back in the building.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to have a message with your performance tonight. What is the message you would like this audience to receive?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for this opportunity to highlight a message from Uganda. Guys, I come from Uganda. Yeah, Uganda is a beautiful East African country of 45 million people with the youngest population in the world. Unfortunately, Uganda is under the rule of General Yoweri Museveni, a military dictator who's been ruling our country for 37 years. And today, he is in advanced stages of installing his son, also a military general, as he's here. And guess what? I am the guy trying to stop that together with my friends.
How can those of us in this room support the fight for freedom and democracy in Uganda?
Thank you. First of all, give us your attention. When we have the attention of the world, then the world knows what's happening in Uganda. Many times the people in Uganda feel like they're suffering in the dark. Give us your attention, but that's not all. We know that you can help us by calling upon your government through your elected leaders to stop funding the dictatorship in Uganda and also to stop being seen, not to condemn it. You have laws, for example, the Global Magnitsky, that can be evoked against a dictatorship, and also targeted sanctions. Those are the things that are effective to the dictatorship. Otherwise, we cannot keep fighting against the euros, fighting against all the donor money that comes from the EU and the developed world.
Bobi, you started as an artist and then have made the transition to being a politician. Why did you decide to take that step?
I did not decide to take that step. That step decided to take me. I'm an artist. I prefer being an artist. But because there came a time when the intellectuals were either so scared or compromised, and there was this attention that comes with music, the attention that we get from the young population that we had. So I decided to rise to the occasion and represent what I believe in. That is freedom, that is democracy, that is human rights, that's equality.
And you are now going to hear exactly how Bobi Wine presents that right now.
So it's my time? All these guys are for me?
Yes, yes.
All right,
yes.
Now that I got you, ladies and gentlemen, I did not come here alone. Like I said, you can't do politics alone, and you cannot do music alone. I came together with my brother, my music partner, who nominated me to run for president. He was arrested. That's the crime he committed, supporting me for president, and he spent 7 months in prison. He's now out of prison, although, and I must warn you, ladies and gentlemen, that the music we are about to perform to you is criminalized back home. It is banned back home. So you all run a risk if you enjoy our music. Ladies and gentlemen, Nubian Lee, my brother, my friend. Step up, Nubian. Welcome back from jail, brother. Big up. Yeah. So you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Now this one is for Ugandans and for Africans. Where's the music? Yeah. This is a story about Uganda. It was 9th of October 1961 when our nation was born, beautiful and endowed with the promise of democracy, with unity in diversity. All of them trying to build a nation that would make life better for the future generations. Well, indeed, we are that generation. We are the grandchildren of the Mandela generation and the grandparents of the future generations. But we must, within ourselves, come together to find solutions, because guess what? We are on our own as the generation. Uganda, hey, Uganda, you sleeping, mama. Wake up, wake up, wake up, mama. mama land. Oh, wake up, mama land. Attica, I say we are fighting for freedom. Listen. We are living in a place where people get abducted. The torture, the enforced disappearance. The gun is the master and the citizen slave. The pearl of Africa is bleeding. Question, what was the purpose of the liberation when you can't have a peaceful transition? What is the purpose of the constitution when the government disrespect the constitution? Where is my freedom of expression when you jail me because of my expression? See what you're doing to our nation. What are you teaching the future generation? See our leaders become misleaders, and see our mentors become tormentors. Freedom fighters become dictators. They look at the youth and say we are detractors. We are fighting for freedom. Sing along, come sing along. We are fighting for freedom. Bana Uganda bali kumawanga. We are fighting for freedom. Everybody just want to be free. We are fighting for freedom. All the friends, international community, we are fighting for freedom. Stop funding the dictators. We are fighting for freedom. Sing along, come sing along. We are fighting for freedom. My brothers in Ukraine, we are fighting for freedom. My brothers in Sudan, we are fighting for freedom. In the Congo and Somalia, we are fighting for freedom. Sing along, come sing along. We are fighting for freedom. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Now, thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, that's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now that we have your attention, ladies and gentlemen, let me say this. Yesterday was International Mother's Day, and I could not stop thinking about Olivia Lutaya. Now, Olivia Lutaya is a 29-year-old mother of 2 girls. She's a political prisoner in Uganda. She has been in prison for 2 years. She was arrested in 2021, May, on the 8th, detained in a military barracks, tortured and humiliated, and I don't know how much amount of dehumanization happened to her. She, together with thousands of other political prisoners, are rotting in jail in Uganda, and their only crime was supporting the opposition. Their only crime was standing on a different side from General Museveni. Now, I know, ladies and gentlemen, that we have so many other political prisoners all over the world, so many other oppressed people all over the world. We fight for them, but I want to use this platform to send a message to all the suffering people in the world and to tell them that one day it's going to be all right. The suffering people in Uganda, the suffering people in Sudan, the suffering people in Congo, in Somalia, in Ukraine, in Palestine, everywhere in the world. I'll tell you that oppressed people cannot be oppressed forever. One day, everything is gonna be all right. Now give me that music now. Well, if you feel like giving up, remember why you started. Listen this. I can see your sweat and the tears from your eyes. Everything shows you want to give up. And I can see your pain and your grief and your fears and all your frustrations. But you've got to be strong. Never let your troubles knock you and keep you down. You've got to rise up. Think about tomorrow. Look beyond your fears. There are days when the sky, I say you will. I say you will overcome every situation. It seems impossible until it's done. Better days must come and the sun will rise. No matter how dark the night has been, nobody will have a right to kill another man. Poverty and misery will be in the past. Hospital with good medication. Every ghetto youth will have a chance to go school. No more shedding of blood on the streets. No more human rights violations. No more hunger, no more war. Everybody will have the opportunity. One day everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
I say everything will be alright.
Alright.
One day everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
I say everything will be alright. Alright.
Alright. Oh, nine, nine, nine.
Stop the music. Please stop the music. Stop the music. I want to have a good vibe with all of you. For the suffering people, I beg that we get on our feet and show them the love. Play that from the beginning, my brother. Play that from the beginning. Are you feeling irate? Start it again. Start it again. All right. One day everything is gonna be fine. Then you say, everything's gonna be fine. One day everything is gonna be fine. One day everything will be alright. One day everything is gonna be fine. Wow, play it from the beginning and let's dance to it now. Dance. Yeah, technician, play that from the beginning and let's dance to it. Well, if you feel like giving up, remember why you started. As I can see your faith and the tears in your eyes, everything shows you want to give up. And I can see your sweat and the tears in your eyes, and all your frustrations. You've got to be strong. Never let your troubles knock and keep you down. You've got to rise up. Think about tomorrow. Look beyond your fears. There are days when the sky's not blue and everything is a sign of doom. Trust in God and believe in Him. Trust in God and believe in Him. One day everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Someday everything will be alright.
Everything's gonna be fine.
I say everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
One day everything will be alright. I say you will overcome every situation. It seems impossible until it's done. Better days must come and the sun will rise. No matter how dark the night has been, nobody will have a right to kill another man. Poverty and misery will be in the past. Hospital with good medication. Every ghetto youth will have a chance to go school. No more shedding of blood on the streets. No more human rights violations. No more hunger, no more war. Everybody will have the opportunity. One day everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
I say everything will be alright.
Alright.
One day everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
One day everything will be alright.
Alright.
Now this goes out to all the political prisoners all over the world. Thank you, Dan Magic. Big up to you, Olivia. Remember, your pain is not in vain. That is how we get the experience. And what doesn't kill you makes you strong. Never give in to the dictatorship. One day you will look back and smile, and you will have a story to tell. Endurance, perseverance. The harder the squeeze, the sweeter the juicy. Where there's no pain, there is no gain. Victory never come easy. Remember, in life there are ups and downs. Never give in to the negativity, no. One day everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
I say everything will be alright.
Everything's gonna be fine.
One day everything is gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
I say Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. People power! 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 People power! Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to say, I told you so, didn't I? Okay? I told you this was going to be great. Thank you so much. That was just terrific.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for the message. I did just want to say to you that unfortunately, because of the fire alarm earlier, Commander Massoud's video address to all of us got interrupted. That will be available online. You'll get more information in that in the future, but we want the full content out there for you guys to enjoy.
And we want to see you first thing tomorrow morning, 9:30. So don't keep drinking. Go back early and go to bed. You've had enough, and you got some music, a bit of partying. We start sharply at 9:30 with a session on the global tech race. Is the free world still in the lead? We will focus on making sure that technology advances democracy rather than damaging it. I just want to say, well, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. What an amazing way to end this. Much better than the way I normally end conferences. Thank you so much. And,
Thank you, guys. Terrific.
brilliant. Nice one. Nice one.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. That was a great addition.
Everything's gonna be fine.
One day everything will be alright. I say you will overcome every situation.
Brilliant. Nice one. Nice one.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. That was a great addition.
Uganda is under the rule of General Yoweri Museveni, a military dictator who's been ruling our country for 37 years.
He gave up the life of a pop star to fight for a nation of 50 million and stand up for freedom around the world.
You know, dictators always stand with each other. That is why mainly the dictators in Africa outrightly supported Putin.
The leader of Uganda's democratic opposition. The regime forced him into exile.
Brian, the UN, local and international human rights groups are all criticizing the Ugandan government for the extreme violence the opposition is facing.
But they can't shake his optimism.
Do you think that there are conditions under which you could go back to Uganda?
I intend to go back to my country. This is not a third world country. We only have third world leaders.
Please get on your feet for our 2026 Hero of Democracy, Bobi Wine.
Still not silenced. When I demand for my rights, they label me a rebel. Anyway, I'm not a criminal. I swear I'm not a criminal. Being political don't make me criminal. I swear I'm not a criminal. Speaking out don't make me no. This is the message to the world government, expressing what's exactly on the Ugandans' minds. I say we are fighting for freedom. Freedom, Travis, voice of freedom. We are fighting for
everything will be alright. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate hopefully having a wonderful night. My name is Bobi Wine. I come from Uganda, the most beautiful country in the world. They call it the Pearl of Africa. That is where the Great River Nile starts from. A country of 50 million people, the youngest country in the world. I'm so proud to belong to Uganda. Wonderful country, but miserable because it's under the subjugation of General Yoweri Museveni since 1986. 40 years of misery, 40 years of corruption, 40 years of gun rule, but we still dare to dream for a better day. I'm honored to be here, ladies and gentlemen. And while I'm here in a beautiful hall, while I'm here sharing smiles as we speak right now, more abductions are going on, more killings are going on. On the 15th of January, we had an election. I was running for president and I believe that I won. But since that day, I managed to escape. But again, we celebrate. While I'm here, I'm representing the people of Uganda. I'm not here as an exilee, no. I'm here as a spokesperson for a country called Uganda. A country of people that refuse to give up, that dream against dreaming, that hope against hope. While I'm here, I know that we have people that are suffering, but most importantly, allow me to use this opportunity to speak about the women of Uganda. While so many people are bearing the pain, but the women of Uganda in a very special way are standing in the gap. No class, no level is safe. From the woman that sells in the market, right to the new First Lady of Uganda, my own wife, who was raided on the 23rd of January, beaten up by more than 70 soldiers that broke into my house, stripped my wife naked as they filmed, and General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is the Chief of Defense Forces and son of General Museveni, who is the President of Uganda, tweets naked pictures of our comrades, tweets subjugated pictures of my wife with pride, celebrating that he's winning. But not just my wife, the strong women that go up to paying the ultimate price. Women like my sister, Edith Katende, the wife of the spokesperson of our party, Alex Waisomafumbiro, who died a few days ago when the husband was even denied chance to nurse her and even denied opportunity to lay her to rest. Women like Irene Nachibuka, who was so much of my fan that she had a tattoo of my name on her leg. That was reason enough to kill her, and she was buried. Women like Monica Chibalama, the wife of John Bosco Chibalama, my friend, who was abducted and kept missing for 7 years. The wife demanded for him, refused to give up, until one day she was also found suspiciously dead in her house. Women like Fauzia Natabi, who we fondly call Mama Cherine, the wife of my personal political assistant, whose house was raided and she was picked up by the military in full view of cameras, all that is recorded. She's kept in military detention for 37 days, even against the court order. Women like Agatha Nazua, who we fondly call Blue Tick, she was abducted and she's still missing. All mothers, daughters, wives, and spouses of the political prisoners. Female political prisoners like Olivia Lutaya, who has spent years in prison for simply wearing a t-shirt that has my picture on it. Women like Sauda Madada, women like Doreen Kaija and many others. We hold them in high regard. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we look at the solution and not at the problem. Now that we know the problem, now that it's clear that Uganda is under dictatorship like many other countries, and now that I have the opportunity to speak for those millions of people, to the modern world, to the United States of America, who we know is the world's biggest democracy, we request you not to continue supporting dictators in Africa, not to continue choosing diplomacy over democracy, not to continue choosing business over human rights, because the dictators in Africa and particularly in Uganda rob our countries, plunder our countries, and they invest and come here and enjoy those monies. These are dictators that abuse democracies, but they enjoy and benefit out of them. We request you to use the tools that you have to sanction those gross human rights violators, the abusers of democracy and the rule of law. Don't allow them enjoy the money they steal from our countries. Our countries, hospitals are run down and the schools are run down, and they're comfortable about it because they seek medical, they seek treatment in the developed world. Their children are studying here. But if you slap sanctions on them, then they will think twice when they are carrying out mass killings. We ask you to evoke the Magnitsky laws that you have. Those are tools that are not only helpful to you, but they are helpful to us. Finally, on behalf of the people in Uganda, I know that every time we come and make our case here in the Western world, particularly in America, they accuse us of being agents of the West, of being agents of neocolonialism. But I say to you that we are not asking you to come and help us. We are only asking you to stop sponsoring our oppression. I believe that's not. Thank you very much.
All I can say is that on behalf of the Renew Democracy Initiative, we are truly honored to be able to recognize Bobi Wine here today. Thank you, Bobi.
I want to dedicate it to all the political prisoners and prisoners of conscience. Dr. Kiza Besigye, my deputy president, Honorable Mwanga Chifumbi, the women in prison, those that are in detention, those that are missing, and those that have been killed. Your pain will never go in vain. We can only honor you by not giving up and by standing for the cause that you are paying a big price for. One day we will continue.
That was incredible.
I will never, ever, ever experience after-dinner programming in a gala again.
Well, let's get into this discussion. So musician and activist turned politician, Mr. Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, also known as Bobi Wine, in 2017 became the youngest opposition leader in Uganda to run against long-standing President Yoweri Museveni. Wine has had numerous run-ins with authorities over the years, largely seen as efforts to deter him from running for presidency. Today, he remains the leader of the official opposition, an advocate for human rights and a fierce critic of the Ugandan government. Through his partnership with the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom, Wine examines how the youth vote is changing African politics, as well as women's participation in public leadership. He joins us in studio this morning. Mr. Ssentamu, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Naledi, and thank you for having me.
What brings you to South Africa?
Passion. But precisely, I'm here in South Africa thanks to the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom for a range of reasons. First, we are going to screen our documentary film, Bobi Wine, the People's President, and to our people here, the Ugandan community living here, and our friends and partners here. We also intend to use the same platform to highlight human rights violations. Every year, we have a human rights accountability conference, which we definitely cannot hold in Uganda because of obvious reasons. The last time we held it in Kenya, and we took opportunity, again, thanks to the FNF Foundation, to have human rights violations and witnesses and testimonies here in South Africa. But also, we hope to use this opportunity to interact with thousands of Ugandans living and working in South Africa.
If we can talk a little bit about your story, you've got a very interesting story. In that I think that when certainly Africans think about what young voters tend to lean towards, your name certainly comes up. I mean, you grew into certainly a leader in Uganda that is followed by so many. Firstly, as a musician, and I think of the song "We Are Fighting for Freedom," certainly a song that grabbed many Ugandans. What was it, if we start at the very beginning of your political career, that said, I can be a musician that also wants to run for office?
It wasn't in my plans initially. I had wanted to be a musician. It's more fun, it's more comfortable, it's more enjoyable and less problematic to be a musician. And indeed, I was a musician for a long time, one of the most successful ones in Eastern Africa. But looking at the situation around me and the people that helped me rise to the top, I couldn't keep quiet when things were going that way. So I came into politics not to be the president per se, but to inspire masses of young people to see what must be seen so that they can do what must be done.
Yeah. It was, of course, in 2016 when you decided to run for office.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had the worst run-ins with the officials of Uganda. Talk to us about some of the worst experiences in and out of prison you've been as well.
Well, I kind of expected rough run-ins, but not to the extent that it came to, because ever since I came into politics in Uganda, it came with a mass of young people. It was a mass awakening. It was a mass falling and involvement of young people. Of course, that came with a massive crackdown. Our generation and the movement that I and my friends inspired was the biggest threat to General Museveni's now 38-year hold on to power, and he responded with a massive crackdown, with brutality, with extrajudicial killings, abductions, and of course imprisonment and torture for myself. I don't look at my plight in isolation of the rest, because if anything, I've been the luckiest. I've gone to prison, but I've been able to come back. I've been tortured, but I've not lost an eye or a limb. Most of my friends don't have either teeth or eyes. Many of them were taken away, never to be seen again. So it has been a crackdown on not just me, but on a generation, on an idea, on the young people, because that was the only way to respond to us effectively.
Yeah, it was in 2017 as you were running for those elections, of course. And if we really just zone in on just how much you've been through with the run-ins with the officials, you take us back to campaigning in Luka district.
Yeah, before Luka district.
The arrest, and then going back to Luka district.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, it didn't begin in Luka district. I survived an assassination where my driver was shot, and that was 2018. I was taken to military detention, tortured badly, many of my friends killed. But again, that only emboldened me. And in 2021, I ran against General Museveni. During the campaign itself, I was arrested in Luka district, prompting massive demonstrations and protests. In that time alone, in 2 days, 18th and 19th of November 2020, just a month to the elections, there was a massacre where more than 150 people were killed, including women, children, and the elderly. Although the regime in Uganda only admitted to murdering 54, but hundreds were killed. We did not stop, but neither did they stop. Abductions continued to the present day. So it has been an ongoing effort by us to free ourselves, but also by them to stop us from breaking the chains.
Part of the thing that I suppose emboldened you in your wanting to run for office was watching how the government of Uganda in 2017 sought to reform the constitution to allow for President Museveni to continue leading the country and capping, there was of course a cap on the age limit. Take us back to that, because many South Africans may not know exactly what took place and what the leader, that is President Museveni, would have done to extend his term of office.
Yeah, it would be more helpful for the people of South Africa and Africa to understand that General Museveni took power in 1986 when I was only 4 years old, and he has been in power since then. Having said, and notably so, that the problem of Africa in general and Uganda in particular are the leaders that overstand power, but he has been extending his hold on to power. Yes, we had a constitution, but it was first amended forcefully by him in 2005, removing term limits. We initially had term limits, but when he had, outlived all his terms, he changed the constitution in 2005. So when time came and he was held back by age, that was in 2018, again, he, using the military, of course, raided the parliament. You must have noticed the world saw with surprise and shock a fight that ensued in the parliament when the military raided the parliament. Ultimately, forcefully again, the constitution was changed to allow General Museveni to rule forever. That is exactly what prompted me to challenge this guy, because to challenge him now, we needed a protest vote, and that could only come from the young people. It should be noted that Uganda is the second youngest country in the world, with more than 85% under the age of 35. We have a country where more than 85% have never seen another president. Well, I was 4 years when he came in, so I can also claim I've never seen another president. That is how it has been in Uganda. So that pushed me to challenge the guy, and indeed, we challenged him, and the world knows that we defeated General Museveni, although he held on to power by force.
It's interesting because you talk about, running for that election where the president of Uganda essentially said, well, I'm going to stay in power and will reform the constitution to allow me to do so. Let's talk about free and fair elections in Uganda. Where do you rate elections in Uganda?
In Uganda, we don't have elections. We have rituals, because we cannot claim it's an election where the main opposition challenger, where the main challenger is arrested on the nomination date, where the main challenging party is not allowed to organize or to move around the country. We had what we call the election in a full blackout. The internet was switched off, or radios and TVs were switched off. International observers, notably the European Union and United States observers, were blocked from entering the country. We went into an election where all of my campaign team was rounded up on an island and detained. Many of them remain in prison on the present day. So we cannot say we had an election, we had a ritual, but whatever it is, we challenge General Museveni, and that messed up election, still, he could not win the election. They could not count the votes. They just came up with numbers wherever they got them from and announced a winner.
It's interesting, you arrive in South Africa at a time when we've just come out of an election.
Yeah.
We're busy forming the 7th administration of our country. What do you observe about South Africa's democracy?
Wow. Clearly, South Africa is not where it wants to be, but it's definitely where many of us desire to at least reach. You know, here people are voting issues. Back then, we are looking for a vote. We are looking for a voice. We are struggling for our vote to matter. So there are different things. Of course, we know that many people take for granted what they have. If I was in South Africa, I would be super glad. The young people in South Africa sometimes take it for granted that they don't even go out to vote. Young people in Uganda are struggling for the opportunity to vote and to have their voice count. So South Africa, with its challenges, is definitely where many of African countries, and particularly in Uganda, desire to be.
We say a lot of the time on the continent, and you say Uganda is one of the youngest, the second youngest country in the world. We say a lot about the continent, that the continent is incredibly young, that the population of this continent is young and growing and wanting to see change. And yet there is a sense that there are bottlenecks to addressing the issues that young Africans have, and certainly them being able to see some sort of change that they're able to affect on their own lives on the continent. Is there a sense that young people can actually have some sort of a voice, power over the political landscape on the continent? You know, tomorrow South Africa celebrates Youth Day, where in 1976 young people were able to really raise the alarm to the world about the injustice that was apartheid. And as we celebrated, we talk about where is that voice today? Where do you place how powerful, if at all, young Africans are in influencing their own political landscape?
Well, it is not just a sense that young people in Africa can influence the political landscape. It is a fact that young people can and indeed should influence the political landscape. They have to, because they cannot let the elders today, whose future is already behind them, determine their future. You know, it is unfortunate to see that Africa is largely governed by elderly people making plans for young people. And I think it should be a clarion call all over Africa for young people to get actively involved in the politics of their country, their countries, because they indeed can. Historically in Africa, all the change that has been inspired and achieved has been done in youthful times. Look at the days of Mandela. These were young people, and it's in their youthful times that they made the biggest contribution to Africa. So we must look back in history and get inspired. The young people have everything they need, particularly the young people in South Africa. You cannot claim, you know, not to have reason to get involved in your political landscape. We in Uganda are desiring, if we had what the young people in South Africa had, maybe we would even influence more. So I want on this program to encourage the young people of South Africa and in all other democracies in Africa not to take for granted the opportunity that they have.
Yeah. I think one of the exciting things about being young in this era is that access to information is so important. And one thing that South Africans have is, I mean, a lot of people will say, well, we voice our issues out on Twitter. You know, we have such a loud voice on social media. I want to talk about whether or not that is the same in Uganda. I mean, we've seen multiple times where the internet has been cut off and connectivity, communication, platforms where young people are able to raise their voices become an issue.
It's definitely useful, and it's the same everywhere, not only Africa, but all over the world. At least we have space on social media, largely safe. Of course, in Uganda, it's a different story because it's because of the engagement on social media that Facebook is banned in Uganda now. It's because of the engagement of young people on social media that we have a new law called Computer Misuse Act in Uganda. It's because of the engagement on social media that so many bloggers have had to run out of the country because of persecution. But also, it's because of that social media that Africa has united, and everything that happens in any part of Africa and the world happens as if in real time. But again, we must take it a notch higher from social media to practicality, especially in spaces like here, where it is safe. It is safe for young people to come out and engage politically. It's safe for young people to come out there and campaign for the policies and systems and ideas that they believe in. So they should engage more. I mean, if people in Uganda, young people like, I would like to refer to myself as a young person, even though I'm not that young, if we risk to engage with all those consequences in Uganda, then it should be encouraged for all other young people to take it a notch higher than social media.
Yeah, you know, in South Africa, what we have, Mr. Sentamu, is a constitution that essentially says that the rights of all are respected. And we protect some of the most vulnerable, but we also protect the LGBTIQ community. It's difficult to speak to a leader of Uganda and not raise that, because to much of the world, Uganda is looked at as the country that has said, we will throw you in prison for being gay. Where do you position yourself in that discussion?
There comes the LGBT question again. I wish all other rights got the same attention as given to that. However, I'll also mention that coming from Uganda and living in Uganda, I hesitate to give so much comment on that because there's a law now, which law, besides making it illegal, goes for anybody that is perceived, you know, so that is perceived to be kind or whatever. So it's important to also mention for me that in Uganda, the LGBT question is not only a social or moral question, but it's also a political issue, effectively used by General Museveni's regime. So you will understand if I don't comment further on that issue.
Yeah. You say that it's, and just we don't necessarily need to go into it if you can't go into it, but you say that it's a political tool. Yeah. How has it been used?
Well, it was first brought up in 2014 by the regime, and it's brought up again, and it's what General Museveni throws up again, throws around again. If he's not throwing out the foreign agent question, claiming that, oh, the opposition in Uganda is sponsored by foreigners. They say, oh, the opposition in Uganda is sponsored by LGBT, etc., etc. So they hope to frame a law and then find a way of squeezing its opponents in that law. I have, however, mentioned constantly that we are firm believers in human rights for all Ugandans from all walks of life.
Let's talk a little bit about how your story has been told across the world, though. Documentaries. I mean, National Geographic did a documentary on your rise and certainly how you have found your way into the hearts of so many Ugandans. What has that been like, and has that assisted your plight in your own country?
Well, it is not just my story. It's a Ugandan story. I'm just a representative of that story. This is a story that began long before I was born. It's a story of a struggle that started long before I was born. It's an ongoing story. My generation, we are just desiring to accomplish that dream that was started by our forebearers. So it's a story of a nation trying to free itself from oppression. It's a story of a generation of young people that are rising to the occasion and saying, no, where we are is not who we are. We deserve better and we can achieve better. It's a story of people oppressed by gun rule for 38 years, but they refuse to give up. We refuse to surrender to slavery in our own country. You can only compare our story to the story of the comrades that struggled during apartheid. We are facing the same situation. It's only unfortunate that, the revolutionaries of yesterday, the freedom fighters of yesterday, have turned into the oppressors of today. My brother Mosi Maimani used to have a line, and I agree with him, that now we are struggling to free ourselves, to liberate ourselves from the liberators of yesterday.
Why do you think that is? I mean, if that is the line of thinking, that liberation movements, as you say, and as you say, Mosi Maimani says as well, I suppose don't hold the favor of the people for too long. Why do you think that is?
Well, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts, absolutely. General Museveni, who rules over our country today, diagnosed the problem in 1986 and said, Africa's problem are the leaders that overstay in power. Even Chinua Achebe, a great Nigerian writer, is quoted to have said in the 80s that Africa's problems are not the rivers or lakes or natural resources, but it's all rounding around leadership. And we cannot reinvent the wheel. It is the same answer to the question. We have a challenge that power has corrupted our leaders, that they believe that only them can deliver the promise. And the promise has been altered. Initially, when they came to power, they were promising democracy, they were promising a fundamental change, they were promising the return to the rule of law, they were promising respect for human rights. But today, they are the shadow of their former selves. They don't want to remember who they were when they were our age. So that's why we are taking it upon ourselves to shape up a country and a continent where we shall grow old, where our children will not hold us accountable for folding our hands as the nation and continent goes to the dogs.
I think in this country, we talk a lot about how we need to encourage South Africans to travel more outside of our own borders, to see more of the continent, to get a context of really where we are as part of this continent. And I think that it's important to note that if you have traveled to Kampala, which I have many, many times, what I have seen is the visibility of guns all the time. And I want to note that, because I think that says something about where you are as a country when you enter a building and there's an AK-47 at the door. I mean, explain what that is. What kind of state is that?
It's a state of fear. It's a state of deceitfulness. Interestingly, most leaders in Africa, especially our own General Museveni, claims that they brought peace. But the kind of peace where you have to see an AK-47 at every turn, it's not peace, as we have been taught that peace is not just the absence of war, but presence of justice and dignity for everybody. We cannot be at peace when we're not free. So those guns are keeping people oppressed. Those guns are meant to intimidate people. I'm very glad that you mentioned that people in South Africa should take a walk around Africa. They'll learn two things, among others. One, that they are Africans. And that will teach them to be friendly to other Africans, especially those that were friendly to them during the struggle against apartheid. And secondly, they will learn not to take for granted what they have, because it is not very far away from extinction.
I'm out of time, unfortunately. In just a few moments, the National Council of Provinces will be appointing their leadership. Yesterday, the National Assembly appointed the leadership of the legislative arm of our state. Very soon we'll be talking about cabinet leaders as we form another government, the 7th administration. Some have called this election for South Africa pivotal. They've said this is tantamount to the 1994 of South Africa, when essentially South Africans got the vote. Your message to South Africans as we celebrate Youth Day tomorrow, as we form this new administration, and as an African?
Please ask the question again.
Yeah, what is your message to South Africans as we form this new administration?
Well, first I want to congratulate them for having gone through an election, whichever way it went. You know, at least in South Africa, the people choose. Whatever they choose, I hope it works for them. But again, I want to remind them not to take it for granted.
Yeah.
But most importantly, to the young people of South Africa, as they celebrate the Day of the Youth tomorrow, to know that everything is happening today because of the decisions and choices that were made yesterday. Whatever is going to be happening in South Africa, and indeed in Africa, in the next 10, 20, 30 years, depends on what is being done today. What you have not contributed to is not going to happen in your favor. If you don't stand up, nobody's going to see you. And if you don't speak out, nobody is going to hear you. Yeah. So get involved. Finally, not only to South Africans, but to all Africans, please know that your freedom is not isolated to you. Let us remember the words of Kwame Nkrumah, that Africa cannot be free unless all of Africa is free. And the world cannot be free. I mean, you cannot be free unless the rest of the world is free. While you look at the plight of the people of South Africa, the black people of South Africa, look at the plight of the people of Congo, look at the plight of the people of Sudan, the people of Gaza, the people of Ukraine, and all over the world. Let us stand for humanity.
Yes.
Wherever.
I need to squeeze one in. What's next for Bobi Wine?
What's next for Bobi Wine? Trying to stay alive is my most important goal. Then the rest will be a bonus.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you in studio. And thank you so much for speaking to us. An absolute pleasure. That there, Mr. Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu, yes, known, of course, affectionately as Bobi Wine, is speaking to us here on Channel 405.
Do you ever find yourself scrounging the internet to find the best deal on contacts? Literally same. But now that I've found 1-800-CONTACTS, my scrounging days are over. And that is because 1-800-CONTACTS is hands down the best place I've found to get affordable contacts. They even have a best price guarantee, and new customers save even more on their first order. They also just make the process in general super easy. For instance, if you're like myself and have vision insurance, you can look up your benefits and apply them automatically at checkout, helping you to save even more. So it's safe to say my deal scrounging days are officially over, because I always land on 1-800-CONTACTS to get the best price without the hassle.
Robert Kyagulanyi, a pop star turned politician who's known by the stage name Bobi Wine, is recognised as the new face of Uganda's opposition. But his rise to prominence has not been without its challenges. Bobi Wine's popularity is considered a threat to President Yoweri Museveni, who's been in office for more than 30 years. His government has arrested and prosecuted Bobi Wine several times, and the opposition figure has accused security forces of torturing him. But the 37-year-old is not holding back his ambition. In fact, he's now directly challenging President Museveni in elections expected to be held in 2021. But will his popularity be enough to get him elected? And what are his plans for the way forward? Uganda's Bobi Wine talks to Al Jazeera. Bobi Wine, leading opposition politician from Uganda, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera. And let me start by asking you to tell us what's wrong with things in Uganda right now.
I will try to be diplomatic and say many things are wrong, but if I was to be real, I would say almost everything is wrong. and it all begins with leadership. We have what many people describe as a kleptocracy for a government, which we hope to make better.
It's relatively recent that you've emerged on the political scene. You were, before that, a musician. Why did you decide to go into politics?
I'm a musician, social activist, and a ghetto youth who recently, I call it recent, but it's 2 years ago, decided to run and become a member of parliament.
So was it a natural evolution from that to politics, or was there a moment that made you decide to get involved in politics?
I would say it was a natural evolution, because initially, like any other young man, I was singing about the girls and the parties and everything. But, you know, over time, after realizing that indeed my music and my lyrics was influencing so many people, especially the young people, I decided to channel it to positivity, and it was working well. However, there's this one time about 10 or something years ago when I got a personal attack. I was beaten by my age mate, and my crime was showing off. That is a time when I had just gotten a brand new Escalade, and he claimed that I was showing off as if I didn't know that.
Showing off a flash car?
Showing off a flash car, as if I did not know that the country actually had owners. That communicated so much about the injustices that so many people had been going through in my full glare, and I decided to make injustice my enemy, and that is when I started singing what now the regime calls political music, trying to address those injustices. However, I reached a time when I realized I could not keep just talking about them through my music, and that's why I decided to get into actual politics, so I could have a more formal platform in the Parliament of Uganda to address these issues, and that's what I've been doing.
And you've been an MP for 2 years now.
Yeah, I've been an MP.
But the government's targeting of you has continued since you've been an MP. Not only is your music banned, your concerts banned, but you have faced attack. Tell me about the incident when your driver was killed.
Well, I said it the day I went to Parliament, that since the Parliament refused to come to the ghetto will come to the Parliament. I wanted to articulate those issues that the regime, the government, and those people that rule over us had ignored for a very long time. Of course, when I got into Parliament, it brought a lot of attention of the common people. They picked interest in the politics, and indeed they started pushing me and suggesting that I run for president. Now, this infuriated the president that we have, who has for a long time been regarded as all-powerful, and I started getting attacks, and the most ferocious attack was the assassination attempt on my life in Arua, which took the life of my driver instead of mine.
And you were arrested after that?
Yeah.
What happened to you when you were in custody? You were tortured, yes?
Well, I was tortured, I was beaten and humiliated. You know, the regime planted 2 machine guns on me, and the spokesperson of the National Police in Uganda actually came out and said those guns were found in my room, only to withdraw the charges just a week later.
That was in 2018.
Yeah.
This year, again, the attacks on you have continued.
Well, the attacks on me have continued, but not only me. And I always say that I feel honored to see that my plight is highlighted, but this is the same plight that so many people are going through, or even worse, people that are unknown, people that you will never know about. And that is why every opportunity I get, I try to shine a light on their plight, because I am only representative of what they are going through. The attacks have continued. I'm a musician, but my music has since effectively been banned in the country. I cannot stage any concert. I cannot be allowed to address a public gathering, not even in my constituency, which elected me to office. And yes, more than twice, I went to church, and the church was tear-gassed by the regime, because President Museveni and the regime that he presides over is so scared of anybody that communicates words that open the eyes of the people of Uganda.
Let's talk about President Museveni. You were, I believe, 4 years old when he came to power.
Yeah.
You probably, well, I'm sure, don't remember Uganda without Museveni, and that's a large part of the Ugandan population.
Yeah, I'm 37, but I've never realistically experienced a Uganda with another president, and it is more than 80% of Ugandans that are in the same situation, you know, and that really gets us disturbed. We have been denied an opportunity to contribute to our country. We've been excluded as a new generation, and we desire to contribute to building a country which we know we are going to live in, because certainly the people that are making decisions for us are not going to be there to either benefit or suffer from the decisions which are evidently wrong that they are making for us.
If you look at the history of Uganda since independence from the colonial rulers, the British, it can really be summed up with three names: Milton Obote, Idi Amin, and Yoweri Museveni. Now, two of those, Obote and Amin in particular, were very, very brutal. Would you accept that when Museveni came to power first, he rescued your country?
Well, that has been said. We've always been hearing that while growing up, until we grew up old enough to see with our own eyes. And I would say without fear of contradiction that Museveni's rule is much more brutal than the rules that have been there before. Only that President Museveni has been extremely smart, and we must give it to him. You know, the world sees President Museveni, and indeed many people describe him as a benevolent dictator or a dictator in a suit. To the Western world, President Museveni has always cast this image of a democrat, but back home he has stepped on all rights and all freedoms, and he has ruled Uganda with an iron fist.
What do you say to international investors and to governments, to diplomats who say, better the devil you know?
Well, to the international community, to the international investors, and to all the organizations that are working with Uganda, first and foremost, I want to thank them for always choosing to be friends of Uganda. They've supported our healthcare system, and yes, they've supported our military. But we know that we are also citizens of the world, and what unites us should not be only business. It should be the values that we share together, values like democracy, values that the respect for human rights, and values like zero tolerance to corruption. So I request them to always hold the administration accountable. Let them make the observation of human rights and the rule of law a precondition for cooperation with Uganda, so that ultimately they are dealing with Uganda not to the detriment of Ugandans. We want the international community, and in particular the United States of America, to be dealing with Ugandans and not with Museveni himself. Otherwise, the United States supports so much of our military operations, especially in the fight against terror. But you see that the corruption that is ongoing in Uganda, and indeed the corruption of President Museveni himself, has caused that aid to again be used to repress the people. I've always noted that the gun that was used to extrajudicially execute my driver was an American gun.
I've interviewed President Museveni 3 times. In fact, he's been on this program sitting in the chair where you are. He seems supremely confident. Do you think he's afraid at all of losing power?
The only thing that President Museveni is scared of is